Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be doing a review on the Jurassic Chaos Theory Gigantic Tracker styxosaurus. Anyways, let's get into this review. So starting with the packaging, we have the Jurassic Chaos Theory logo, Jurassic Chaos Theory, Gigantic Trackers, the Atrociraptors on the packaging again. The background, which again, to me looks kind of like the Dino Rivals packaging, but slightly better. At least I think I'm thinking of the Dino Rivals packaging, but yeah. Also an arrow to show the action feature. Okay, Jurassic Chaos Theory logo. The Styxosaurus, which I just did a review of, and you guys should go check that out. The Styxosaurus performing its action feature, showing off the scan code. Again, showing the action feature. And also, can Mattel go back to doing biomes? Because whatever the heck this is, I don't understand it, nor do I really like it. So, yeah. Let me just get something to cut this with. And I'm probably just going to start, you know what, I'm just going to start bringing out random tools to cut things. This time we got a knife. Usually I use scissors, but yeah. Anyways, there we go. Got that cut. Now we can actually take a closer look at the actual figure, and man, this is a really nice one. At least the Styxosaurus I could kind of look at before. This one I cannot, and I'm already seeing a big issue with this figure. The fact that, again, I'm kind of spoilery. The flippers, due to the action feature, cannot pose down, so you can't do the similar thing with the Elasmosaurus where you have like the flippers up and have it kind of in this position. You kind of just have to let it sit here, and the fact that it's kind of front heavy really is not helping that. So yeah, the back flippers articulate those, so we'll have to try to figure something out. But anyways, first starting with its absolutely amazingly sculpted head, it has some really nice rubber teeth, which the Elasmosaurus does one thing, the teeth were kind of weird, but it's really nice that Mattel started doing these rubber teeth and actually gave it like proper teeth. And also it has 2 rows of teeth on the upper jaw, which is kind of weird, but yeah, the inside of the mouth also looks really nice. Let me see if I can show you guys. There we go. Just looks really good. The eye looks pretty good. And they also have these sails, which I know a lot of people really did not like the sails on this figure. I personally don't mind them. Though, I think it would be cool to see if someone customized it just to remove the sails. I know why they kind of did to make it look more unique, and I don't think they really needed to do that, but I really don't mind it. Also, I don't know if I can get this light. You can see that they're translucent, which is really cool to see. So, yeah, now let me actually fix my lighting now. So, yeah. Anyways, down the body, you can see that it has a really nice sculpt. It's pretty simple because it's a marine reptile, but also just really, it kind of has like these hexagonal scoots on its back, which are really cool. On the stomach, pretty simple, nothing too crazy. Really good plesiosaur-shaped head. Again, kind of turtle scoots on the hands, which is actually, I think they got that actually kind of accurate. I think recently we found actually skin impressions of plesiosaurs, and they had kind of more turtle-like scoots on their fins. So it's actually really cool to see that Mattel accidentally did that correctly. So, yeah. Anyways, the paint scheme on this thing is just the best. It looks pretty simple, but they spread it out really nice so it's across the whole body. And it's a really nice paint scheme, and also they just spread the colors nicely. So, yeah, also we have the sails on the back, which would have been cool to see some color on here, but honestly, it's not that bad. So, yeah, again, the articulation, pretty much the back fins can go down, and they can go up. Again, you could put these fins down, but you cannot put the front ones down, so it's going to have to be posed like this, or you're going to have to sit it up on its hind fins like this, and pretty much just have it sitting vertically, which looks ridiculous, but it's going to probably be the way I'd end up displaying this figure, because I don't have much of an option. You can also just have them pinned back like this. And hopefully, maybe that actually, okay, it doesn't really help with the weight distribution, unfortunately, but yeah. Anyways, the front flippers go up and down. They do not swivel or anything else. That is tied to the action feature. The tail also tied to the action feature, and the head and jaws and neck are just tied to the action feature. So, when you move the tail up, the head goes up. Move it down, the head goes down. It actually doesn't chomp. The Styxosaurus, when it goes down, it chomps. But it doesn't for this one. It just opens. Then when you turn it, the flippers actually flip up and down, which is actually a pretty cool action feature. Though, is it worth losing the mobility in the 4 flippers? I don't know quite. I think I would actually prefer just to have articulated forelimbs like the Elasmosaurus figure, and then they just gave it a regular, like, kind of like the Styxosaurus side chomping feature. But I still do think that this is really cool. Honestly, I think this action feature probably would have been a little bit cooler on maybe like an Archelon figure. Maybe we can get a Wild Roar Archelon in the future, and maybe they can do an Like either, I don't know if it should be a gigantic track. I think it should just be a wild roar figure. And maybe just give it a button or control by the tail. Flip it, like the action feature for the flippers to move up and down. But I think it is still really cool and works really nicely on this styxosaurus figure. Also, hope we get a re-release of Elasmosaurus in the future with just a better paint scheme, better articulation, and also just better teeth. Which would be cool to see, since the styxosaurus is essentially what that is. This is just a better plesiosaur. So, yeah, they do not have a tail fluke on here, unfortunately. The Elasmosaurus had one. And speaking of the Elasmosaurus, we might as well move into the size comparison. We're going to start with actually measuring it, then we'll compare it to you-know-who. Anyways, I can get a good measurement of this figure. It measures in at about 15 inches long. And then it's going to be kind of hard to measure here. If we have it like not resting like that, the top of the head goes to like 5 1/4 inches. Top of the back goes about a little bit over 3 inches, and then flipper span goes to about 8 1/4 inches. So pretty sizable figure. Now let's actually compare it to a few things. First, you already know who's coming up. The gigantic tracker Elasmosaurus figure. And man, I don't think I've ever seen people so hyped for a figure except for these two. I think these are just two figures that people universally had a few issues with, but all around were super hyped and really wanted to get. Anytime I tell there's a marine reptile was really good, but especially when they do a more popular one. And I'm pretty sure plesiosaurs, and by extension, like, yeah, pretty much plesiosaurs are just the biggest group. Like, if we're doing, like, the long neck plesiosaurs, we have Elasmosaurus, Styxosaurus, and Plesiosaurus, which we'll compare it to in a second. But if we're doing plesiosaurs in general, including pliosaurs, then we have so many. We have Chronosaurus, Lioplorodon, and then, of course, the three I just mentioned. While we still have only one Mosasaur, being Mosasaurus, just getting re-released, hopefully we can get, like, a Tylosaurus or something in the future. That'd be cool. And when it comes to doing other groups, such as, Ichthyosaurs, we have 0 figures of those. But we still have so many plesiosaurs. Again, hope we get like a Tylosaurus, hopefully based off Jurassic Park the game. If not in sculpt, at least in colorations. And maybe even like a Prognathodon, which could kind of have like a similar vibe to this figure, maybe giving it kind of a more gnarly design. And I hope we do get more plesiosaurs, like maybe like a gigantic tracker Pliosaurus, and maybe a re-release of Chronosaurus in a bigger size, gigantic tracker size as well. I think it'd be really cool to see those in the future. And also ichthyosaurs like Ophthalmosaurus and Ichthyosaurus, and like larger ones like Shonosaurus, Shastosaurus, Sympospondylus, and Ichthyotitan. It would be really cool to see in the future as well. But the marine reptiles are just the best. I know we're getting the Thaddonus Draken, or not Thaddonus Draken. Can't remember what it's called, but it's another like marine croc similar to Dacosaurus, which we'll compare in a second as well. And I think that is a great figure, and I hope we get more marine reptiles. I know we're getting Purosaurus, which I wouldn't quite count as a marine reptile, but close enough. I'll take that as well. But again, these figures are pretty much identical in length, though I think the Elasmosaurus' body might be a bit bigger, possibly. Can't really tell. Also, I don't think... Okay, the Elasmosaurus is also front heavy, but not as bad. So it kind of doesn't look more natural than the Styxosaurus. I also think that the Elasmosaurus' neck is... I can't tell. I think the actual neck piece is shorter, but like I can't tell if you're counting this part as my neck. It might be a bit longer. The head, though, seeing these heads, so much of a difference. That's honestly, generally, I think I kind of prefer the Elasmosaurus figure a little bit more over the Styxosaurus, except in a few things. The action feature, I don't really like the buttons on the Elasmosaurus, but outside of the flippers, I honestly, to make a perfect Elasmosaurus figure, you just need to combine these two. Take the action feature, minus the flippers, and put it onto the body of the Elasmosaurus. Give it the Styxosaurus' colors alongside the rubber teeth and just general better sculpt onto this figure. And then just take the lack of sails and pretty much have it here. Just make it, I kind of want to see maybe a combination of these two. Maybe like Alberta Nectus. Honestly, don't know how they would do that. They would have to add on like a clip-on something. And I don't know if it would even fit on the... they would probably have to add a clip-on neck to make a proper Alberta Nectus. And maybe even Futaposaurus in the future could be a good candidate. Maybe give it like the cool patterns and stuff. Honestly, there's so many plesiosaurs, and I might just do a whole entire video on marine reptile concepts. But honestly, I've spent too much time comparing it to Elasmosaurus. Now let's compare it to a few other marine reptiles, such as the before mentioned Plesiosaurus, which again looks nice. It takes about 2 plesiosaur figures to measure up to one Styxosaurus. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyways, next, let's compare it to the Jurassic World Dominion Lioplorodon, which is oversized by quite a bit. And I actually like that Mattel made a proper sized Lioplorodon. Didn't make Let's just say it didn't make the same mistakes walking with dinosaurs before it. Also, the battery's kind of out on mine, so the sounds don't work really anymore. But, yeah. Anyways, next, here's it compared to the Kronosaurus, which, the Kronosaurus, I really like this figure, but I have quite a few issues with it. First thing, I think, again, it still should have been in a gigantic tracker size range, since I think it's too small in the Wild Rare one. Also, because, again, I think the head... Yeah, it's really loud, but again, I think I would have preferred like a different action feature because I don't really like the side thing. It's also really annoying. But I do think that generally, like, most of it is pretty good. All they would have to do is upsize the figure to the proper size range and also give it longer flippers because the flippers are just really short in proportion to the body, in my opinion. But otherwise, I think this figure is really good and also gets dwarfed by the styxosaurus, which honestly, Mattel could definitely get away with just releasing a plesiosaur. Honestly, releasing the like styxosaurus and elasmosaurus in the Wild Rare size range, all they would need to do is just give it a clip-on neck and it would fit. Honestly, even if they, yeah, I think they'd actually definitely need to give it a clip-on neck. I would say that maybe they could just give it a clip-on tail, but no, they need a clip-on neck. And one would fit in that size range pretty easily. Anyways, next we have the Gryphosuchus, kind of a semi-aquatic animal, but hey, close enough. And these figures size up really nicely. I know we're getting Parasaurus soon, but hopefully we can get Deinosuchus also in the future. So, yeah. Then let's compare it to the Jurassic World Dacosaurus and Nothosaurus. Both of these guys are way smaller than it, and it's really nice that we've got a marine reptiles. I have pretty much all the Mattel marine reptiles with the exception of the new one that just came out for Rebirth. Well, that's coming out for Rebirth, because I know it's been cited, but I wouldn't really consider it fully released yet. But yeah. Anyways, Tanystropheus. Stretch its neck out all the way, and it's actually really close in length to the Styxosaurus. I mean, of course, not like counting the neck, but still. Anyways, here's compared to the Caprosuchus. Not really an aquatic animal, but hey, it's here. And then the last marine reptile for the size comparison is the biggest marine reptile Mattel has released to the day. Mosasaurus, which honestly, like every other marine reptile figure before, could just be grabbed by the, can just pick up everything in its mouth. I was about to say Mosasaurus could get grabbed by things, but no, I meant Mosasaurus can grab things. But, yeah. I know we're getting a new Mosasaurus, but I still really want to see other big marine reptiles by Mattel. Like, give us a large Ichthyotitan, large, Kronosaurus, Pliosaurus, or even a large Tylosaurus would be really cool to see. Instead of just getting the same Mosasaurus every year. I know they do for the sauropods, they give us some different things. And I know we just got Diplodocus, the first large screen, Pteros. Why do I keep wanting to call things wrong things? I was about to say marine reptile pterosaur, but I meant to say sauropod. So why can't we get other large marine reptiles? Like every year, maybe we can get like a new giant ichthyosaur, a new giant mosasaur figure, or even maybe if they feel fancy, like a Harboroteuthis or something. Anyways, Mosasaurus just completely outsizes this thing several times over, and again, it's going to be kind of hard to get this guy to stay up here since, again, no flippers to keep it in place. But yeah, it gets completely oversized by the Mosasaurus. There's two more things I would like to compare the Styxosaurus to, and those are all these other Chaos Theory figures from the second wave, which also kind of forgot to mention. The second wave of Chaos Theory figures has new packaging, which is pretty interesting. But anyways, here they are compared to it. Again, I said that I was going to compare the Styxosaurus to the Sequoiamus to the Styxosaurus in my review for the actual Styxosaurus, and in length, they're about the same length. In fact, I actually say the Sequoiamus is slightly longer, which, you cannot see it now, just realizing when I'm looking at the camera. Yeah, about the same length, though. I say the Sequoiamus is a bit longer, and then here's it kind of on the side, kind of see it. So, yeah. Honestly, I think these guys this is probably one of my favorite wave of gigantic tracker figures. I can't remember any other gigantic, of the larger medium figures in which I wanted to get both of them really badly. This is, the one exception. I think these guys are just really nice. They both have absolutely extraordinary paint, good sculpts, good action features. Again, I think the wave we're getting for Rebirth are pretty good, just not the best. Maybe they should have led with Chelantosaurus and Parasaurus instead, because again, I think the Neotriceratops is nice, just not the best. And also, I think that the Tyranotitan looks good, just it's not a Tyranotitan in the slightest. Now for the actual like normal comparison. For like the very last thing I'm going to compare the styxosaurus to is of course the good old classic Raptor figure from Mattel. Which if I can get it to, okay. Of course, Red does not want to stand when I need you to stand, Red, please. Or not. Of course not. Anyways, we'll just have to hold Red. So here's the Raptor. Well, actually, I think this is supposed to be Tiger, but I'm just going to refer to it as Red because this thing is literally the same exact shade as Red. Like, I know it has tiger stripes, but I don't care. The actual Tiger figure looks more like the actual Red figure looks more like Tiger, so that's what we're going to go with for me. Anyways, completely just the size of the body. And then an actual Mattel human figure gets dwarfed by the styxosaurus. And hey, I found something that can prop up its chin. Pretty much just perfect height is a Mattel human figure. Again, I hope we get in like an Alberta Necthes and Futapasaurus in the future, which is pretty likely now, seeing that we keep on getting really large plesiosaurs and people really like them. But yeah, I wonder if this figure can actually hold things in its mouth, because the Suchomimus kind of can. And yeah, I'd say it actually kind of can bite onto things. Let me see if I can do like the downwards bite, if it can actually kind of grip the human figure in its mouth. Yeah, not really. I mean, it kind of gets held in place by the teeth, but that's close enough. And also, I wonder if the Mattel human figure can actually fit its hand through the hole in its fin. I know a lot of people like the torn fins and wings. I'm just not the biggest fan of the look. But I don't mind though on like the newer figure we're getting for Rebirth and also on the Styxosaurus. I think kind of works. But yeah, anyways, now for my final thoughts on the actual figure. I honestly think it looks great. Yeah, it's a little bit more monstrous, but I think it's kind of a nice contrast to the Elasmosaurus figure we got. I do really hope that we get another one that's a good balance between the two, giving like the really good quality while at the same time giving it a more reasonable design. Maybe, again, my two candidates are Alberta Necthes or Futapasaurus, but I'm leaning towards Futapasaurus since I think it's more obscure and I just really want a Futapasaurus figure. And also, I feel Alberta Necthes, they're going to make the neck too short unless they give it a clip-on neck. So, yeah. Anyways, I see you guys in the next video. Honestly, think this is a great figure. Definitely recommend picking it up. Honestly, I recommend picking up every marine reptile figure, but definitely recommend picking this one up, especially since I was able to get this guy on clearance, since like all Jurassic figures are on clearance pretty much, at least at Walmart. And yeah, I got this guy for like $14, which is like I think the original figure is like $24, so I think like half off. Honestly, well, yeah, maybe not quite half off, but yeah, I think that's just a really good deal for this figure, and definitely recommend picking it up. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one, and goodbye.